Okay, so this is day 5 of my 100-day challenge, and if you are just joining me now, you may want to go and spend some time listening to the other past videos so you're kind of up to speed of what I'm talking about here. But in June, when they told me that I was going to die from the situation that I was having with my lung, um, between the end of June and August 2nd, I was on a lot of pain medication, of course, and I stopped smoking immediately. I was very scared that cigarettes would trigger, something awful, to happen. I just didn't want to make anything worse. And this is a point in my life where, in a sick, demented way, I miss it. When you are dying, or when you know you're very sick, it's very hard to have anxiety because of the fact that you know that at any point you could pop. They told me not to lift anything above 10 pounds above my head. They told me not to sit in the front seat of a car if it had airbags, not to fly until at least 3 months after my surgery in case the cabin ever, decompressed. It could cause horrible problems with my lung and it could kill me. So what happened is I became very antisocial. Not that I was super social before, but I started driving around by myself with pain pills, and I couldn't change the radio station. My pre-programmed ones were, the buttons. You have the 1, 2, 3, 4, where you have all your favorites, and I couldn't reach it because of the pain that I was having still, even with the pain medication. So I had a plastic spoon in my car, and I would hold the plastic spoon, and I would change the radio stations, to whatever one I wanted. I became very I adapted very well to, living like that. And I found that I got my camera out, and I took photographs of everything. I started noticing trees. I started sitting in cemeteries. I went to the museum with the black and white film, and I took photographs in black and white. And it seems like every other day I was going to, CVS Pharmacy to have photographs developed. Why I was doing this, I don't know. I don't. I just went off into my own world. Most of the time, you could have found me in the cemetery. I thought, well, I might die. I might as well, go to where I'll be. And I looked at everyone's tombstone. I remember walking up and down aisles of all the tombstones and thinking to myself, you were all once people, and you all have your own unique story. And I wondered, and I remember imagining to myself what their lives were like, who they were, what troubles they went through. And even at my weirdest points, I got, McDonald's through a drive-through, and I sat there by this one tombstone that had a picture of the husband and wife. A lot of stones don't have photographs, but this one had a picture of this older woman, this older man, and I sat there and I literally had lunch with them. And my roommates, of course, worried about me, my odd behavior, but it seemed right at that point. I took myself to nature preserves. I walked around. I was just very alone in this. And even though I was still going out with that guy, Greg, I pushed everyone away. But it wasn't a malicious push. It was that I was embracing what could happen to me, the very reality of how life was and how I could be dead. Or I might survive, but who was to say at that point what was going to happen during that surgery? And when I finally accepted my death is where it got interesting. I suddenly felt that there was no heaven, there was no hell, and that's not to say that there's not. But what I felt was just this surrounding comfort that everything I had ever done wrong didn't matter, that it was just accepted, that I was accepted. And I remember walking down the street and passing a church and just feeling this utter comfort, and that the other side, whereas where people say, oh, they went to heaven, or they went here, they went there, whatever your religious beliefs are, that it was right here, and that I could take, it's so hard to describe. I've tried to put this in words so many times, but you could take a plastic butter knife, and you could cut the air, and you could rip it open, and it was there all along. It was never far away. It was never this unattainable thing. It was always around you. And for many years, I had no one to relate to with that until on Oprah, which I know a lot of the reality, 100-day reality challengers, got this secret from, was Oprah. She had Sharon Stone on, and Sharon Stone, when she had a stroke, she described the same feeling. She told Oprah it was always right here the whole time, and Oprah gave a look, she tried to understand, but I got it, because it was always there the whole time, that you were never alone, you were never judged, you were never anything bad, you just were. And for the first time in my life in that point, I didn't have panic attacks. I didn't have anxiety. Of course, I worried that I would just die. I would go to the mall and I would think, oh, I hope I just don't pop and die, right now. And as time went on before the surgery, I took myself to New Hampshire from New York with the boyfriend I had at the time, and I made sure I had lobster. I like lobster. And I had lobster, and I went to the ocean. I put my feet in it. I wanted to experience everything, because it might be my last experience. When I came home from that beautiful trip, which I still have photographs of, and, I just was very in the moment. And the roommate I was living with, who was a girl that I was telling you all about, she took me out to a restaurant, which I never do. I mean, agoraphobia, even now, I don't eat in public. Very, very stressful, panic attack prone, everything. I don't do it. But back then it was okay. And we had lobster tail and prime rib, and she told me how much she appreciated me, and I felt so loved. Not just by her, but even people in the restaurant that didn't know me. I felt love. Everywhere was love. And at one point before the surgery, I had this breakdown, like this complete mental breakdown. I remember sitting in the living room of my apartment, and crying. And Greg's like, "What's wrong? Are you in pain?" I'm like, "No." But I finally got a glimpse, just for a brief second, of the planet. I got a glimpse of how it really was. And everything that I had done. And it wasn't so much the porn, which is strange. It was all the money I wasted on designer clothes. I would have jobs, or when I was doing the porn, during that whole panic attack period, my money would go to Gap and Abercrombie and Structure, which I don't think Structure's around anymore, so if you don't know what it is, it was like Gap and Aeropostale, and I would spend money on things for no reason. And I finally saw that I was spending all this money on a $50 or $70 t-shirt from Versace, and at the same time I could see all the people that were starving in the world, and how selfish I was, and how I was not doing anything to change this. And to this day, which I'll get more into my surgery, of course, but I want to fast forward a little bit, to this very day in 2007, I don't buy designer clothes. I don't feel the need to. Walmart is just as fine. And I'm not saying you can't look nice. And look, if I went to TJ Maxx or Marshall's and it was on sale, of course, as long as it wasn't its full retail price. I can't do that anymore. I can't look at the world in the same way that I used to when I called, being in that trance that I was in. I can't ignore the fact that I'm so lucky, and that we're all so lucky. When you have that meal in front of you and you scrape off the rest because you're too full, that other people don't have that in this world. And it changed me forever. And I will get back into more of that during my next video. So please, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I guess just go back. And all my other videos will make sense. Just, go back in time and then listen, later, and you'll catch up. That makes no sense, but you understand what I'm saying. Bye.